I think this is a really good trade for the Golden State Warriors because, like I said, having James Wiseman, yes, he's a nice young player, but you can't wait for him to come around, man. You can't wait for that. Hello and welcome to the Friday, July 2nd edition of the TV on Basketball podcast with your host, TV. Hope you're having a fantastic day and thank you for clicking on to watch or listen to today's episode. Before we start, I do have to plug my other platforms. Remember to follow at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for updates on the podcast and for other awesome content. If you are on YouTube, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you will not miss an episode. And for my podcast listeners, remember to subscribe and leave a review if you're on Apple. And for my Spotify, Anchor, or Podbean listeners, just show your support in any way possible. That would be highly, highly appreciated. I have an awesome show lineup for you guys today. One of the conference finals series have been completed, so we're going to go do a deep dive on that. We're going to be talking about the other conference final series, which hasn't finished, but unfortunate with the injuries. But we're going to get right into that as well. And then finally, we're going to talk about a potential Siakam trade to the Golden State Warriors and give my thoughts as a Raptor fan, whether if I'm the Raptors, I would do it or not. We're also going to get into that too. So yeah, action-packed episode today. Again, thank you guys for all the support. Over 3,000 downloads on the pod. We're still 2 subscribers away from from 40 subscribers on YouTube, so continue to show your support there and subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, this is going to be a really good episode. There's going to be a lot to talk about. So sit back, relax, and let's go into the first topic. And the first topic we're going to go into, I was going to start with the Phoenix Clipper series, but because this game happened yesterday, I think we should talk about that, or at least the series had a game yesterday. And it's going to be the Bucks versus Hawks. And we're going to start in Game 4, where the Hawks won this game quite comfortably without Trae Young, 110-88. Honestly, a big shocker to a lot of people. I didn't think the Atlanta Hawks were going to play this good with Trae Young's absence. But they did play very well. 21 points from Lou Williams, 8 assists. They got 20 from Bogdan Bogdanovic. First time in a while he scored over 10. Clint Capella with 15. They got 15 from Kevin Huerter. Then just good contributions off the bench from Gallo and Cam Reddish. And for the Milwaukee Bucks, to be completely honest, they just looked shell-shocked at that point. I mean, they had a healthy roster going into this game, and at the line threw the first punch, and it really just seemed like that the Bucks were just caught completely off guard because no one played well in that first half. Drew Holiday and Middleton were kind of struggling. Same thing with Giannis, and by halftime they only scored a total of 38 points. Only 38 points from a Milwaukee Bucks team who are very good on both sides of the ball. I mean, their defense, like I mentioned before, kind of dropped to 10th. But they're still a top 5 offense in the league. And scoring 38 points against a average defense in the Atlanta Hawks was very, very surprising. But kudos to the Hawks, man. Without Trae Young, they knew other guys had to step up. And they were able to. And that really caught the Bucks off guard. And that's what got them to a very early lead. Because at halftime, they were up by 13. So things were going really good for the Hawks. But then the Bucks started to get going. Giannis was like, okay, I'm not going to let this team stop me all night. Then he started getting himself into pain. This guy was getting dunk after dunk. Good defensive stop. And they even cut it down to a sizable margin. And not only did Giannis was playing well, but he actually got these other guys involved as well. And it was looking like it was going to be a comeback in the works for Milwaukee. But that was until Giannis going up for a rebound, kind of tangled legs with Clint Capella, landed very, very awkwardly, and he hyperextended his left knee. It looked bad. It looked really, really bad. And on first glance, when you look at it, it looked like one of those horrible injuries, like that could result in a horrible injury, you know, like a torn ACL, some sort of torn Achilles. It kind of looked like those type of plays, and you could tell by the reaction on social media. You could just tell from the vibe of the crowd that no one knew, like that everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, this looks bad. This looks very, very bad." And you know, he was on the floor for a couple minutes. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. He was helped to the back by his brother and a trainer. It really looked bad, and I think the entire NBA world was like, no, 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 not again. Not another injury. I mean, Trae Young is already out a couple games in that series, and now losing Giannis would be absolutely horrible. But luckily for Giannis, he was able to walk around. He even walked back to the bench. And I really had a feeling that he was going to be like, okay, I'm coming back in. But I think the league ballooned up too much to the point where it's like, okay, man, there's just no point of you returning. So he was called out for the he was called. He's not going to come back for the remainder of the game. And really, like ever since that injury, that's what kind of halted all of the Milwaukee momentum. Because after that, the Atlanta Hawks just went on a massive run. They were able to just take a massive lead, and it really ballooned up to 1 point to a 25-point deficit. And then they finished winning this game 110-88. Again, very good performance. Yes, Giannis left for injury, but this Bucks team, even without Giannis, has shown that they can still get victories, but they were just not prepared this game. They were not prepared, and the Atlanta Hawks took advantage. Like six guys over double figures in scoring. He's got a lot of good all-around effort. And I didn't even mention this, but late in the fourth quarter, Clint Capella going up for a rebound got elbowed in the nose, and I thought, oh my goodness, another key player out for injury. So man, this series has been like riddled with injury, which has been absolutely unfortunate. But yeah, congratulations to the Hawks. They got a very good win here. I think the turning point, like not the turning point, but you could tell this game was like officially over when Clint Capella hit a shot from behind the backboard. So yeah, it just wasn't the Bucks' night. It is what it is, and they were able to get the win. Luckily for Giannis, the MRI next day showed that there is no structural damage, and he was only diagnosed with a hyperextended left leg. That means he was going to miss the next game, but thank God it's nothing severe, nothing too bad, and maybe there's hope for him coming back in the series. If not, maybe he can come back next series for the NBA Finals. But yeah, good win for the Atlanta Hawks, and this transitions just nicely into Game 5, in where Trae Young was ruled out, same thing with Giannis. So both star players were out. The Atlanta Hawks showed that they could play well without Trae Young. Can they do it here today? Same thing with the Bucks. I mean, in the past they've shown they could play like without Giannis at times, but were they able to step up? And in this game, the Bucks came through, winning 123-112. And literally the story of this game was just the great all-around effort from the starting lineup of the Milwaukee Bucks. Because I dare you to just pick one guy to single out here saying that he was the best player. Because there were four guys you could really make the case for. You had Brook Lopez, 33-7. This guy was like dunked like 8 or 9 times. This guy didn't even only attempted 2 threes, but he was just a beast in the paint. Very, very good performance from Brook Lopez, even on the defensive end, 4 blocks, 2 steals. You can go with Drew Holiday, who was just picking apart the Hawks defense in terms of getting assists, but also scoring as well. 25 points, 13 assists, 9 for 20 shooting, 3 threes. Very good performance from Drew Holiday. Even Chris Middleton, 26, 13, and 8, 10 for 20 shooting. This guy was like hitting shots when he was open. He was creating for himself. And again, showing that he has the ability to create for others. And then you got Bobby Portis. And Bobby Portis, you can look at all three of those guys and their kind of better offensive output compared to Bobby Portis. But man, this guy brought the energy. This guy's hyping up the crowd. Lots of just key plays that help get the crowd going. And he just got a lot of plays that really just shifted the momentum in their favor. And it wasn't just his plays on the offensive end when he was getting dunks and just like timely buckets, but on the defensive end, because he had 3 steals in this game, but those steals were like very, very momentum shifting. Like he would just rip the ball out of like a guard's hands. One of the plays he took it all the way for a dunk. It was absolutely crazy. And those 4 guys combining for 106 of the 123 points was the biggest reason why the Bucks were able to win this game. Especially with the Hawks, they started off really, really slow. I think the lead at one point was like 30-10 at one point, and kudos to the Hawks for trying to bounce back, because they actually did. Great performance from Bogdan Bogdanovic, as well as scoring 28. 19 from Gallinari off the bench. But when you have four guys in the Milwaukee Bucks combining for 106 points, four guys over 20, it's going to be really, really hard to stop that. And the Atlanta Hawks, like I mentioned earlier in the last game, they do not have the greatest defense in the world. They're in the bottom 10 in the league. So it was going to be really hard to stop like this high-powered Milwaukee Bucks offense. And they were able to just get the win, which is really, really good for the Milwaukee Bucks. And that moves them one win closer to the NBA Finals. And look, these injuries suck. That Trae Young injury when he stepped on the ref's ankle, he missed both games, highly unfortunate. Same thing with Giannis. That hyperextended left knee, or that left leg, looked really bad. But they're still giving us like really entertaining games. And it's good to see like these other guys step up in the absence of their stars. And what these two games have shown is that the supporting cast for both these teams are very good. I mean, I thought the Bucks should have put a better effort in Game 4. But that's also just kudos to the Atlanta Hawks for having a good supporting cast around Trae. I think I saw a stat that like 6 or 7 guys this postseason are averaging over 10 points, which is really good for them, which, mind you, is a lot to do with Trae Young's ability to create for others. But they're still stepping up. And then the star power of the Milwaukee Bucks. They still have Chris Middleton. They still have Drew Holiday. They got these guys playing well. Even Brook Lopez yesterday, I mean, people forgot that he was a multiple-time All-Star before he moved to Milwaukee. Showed us a classic Brook Lopez, Brooklyn Nets throwback game, which is really cool. So I guess it's all about how the supporting cast are doing. We still don't know if Giannis or Trae Young will be back for the next games. Trae might be pushed to play more because it's an elimination game. But Giannis, I do think that because of the way they played yesterday, maybe they might keep him out a bit longer. But we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we can get some of these guys back at some point. And hopefully we got full rosters going into the Game 7. Because I think that would be a really, really cool game to watch. So yeah, good win for Milwaukee. Good win for the Hawks. If I had to choose for next game, if Trae Young's playing, I do think that he'll give enough energy for the Hawks to force a Game 7. But if he isn't, I do think the Bucks close it out in Atlanta. So that's something. That's my prediction. But if it goes to Game 7, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining one bit because these Game 7 games have been very, very entertaining so far this season. So yeah, I cannot wait to see Game 6. That'll be happening tomorrow night. Whenever you're listening to this, Saturday night at 8:30. So definitely something to watch. But let's move on to the Western Conference Final Series. And man, there is a lot to talk about. Because 2 games happened this week. I'm going to go quickly through Game 5. And then obviously we're going to talk about the closeout game in Game 6. So, in Game 5, Clippers were down 3-1. Do they have another comeback in them? Chai Lu has played well, coached well, extremely well under pressure. But can they extend the series to Game 6? Yes, they did. The Clippers win Game 5, 116-102. Just a really, really good, great effort from the Los Angeles Clippers in this game because, with the way Game 4 ended, just the ugly, ugly shooting performances from both teams, and they weren't able to get the win. That must have been a gut punch to them, but kudos to them. They were able to bounce back and have a really good Game 5. Led by Paul George. He was absolutely phenomenal in this game. 41 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, 75% from the field, perfect from the free throw line, 8 for 8, and 3 for 6 on threes. He was absolutely fantastic, and he was the biggest reason for this win. But they also got good contributions from Reggie Jackson, 23, and Marcus Morris, 22. And the Clippers were able to extend the series another night. And the thing about the Phoenix Suns this game, I thought this game was going to be a blowout. Especially when I saw the news that Ivica Zubac wasn't going to be playing a few hours beforehand. I'm like, DeAndre Ayton should feast. He should. And I think that, and I just thought that, Devin Booker, this is like what the Suns have done really well this playoffs is that whenever a team shows a bit of life, they're able to stunt that momentum and pull out the win. So I thought that's what the type of mentality the Suns would come out this game, especially at home, trying to win their first Western Conference Finals title since the '93 season. So I thought that was going to happen here. but they came out flat. They did come out flat. I mean, Devin Booker scored 31, Chris Paul scored 22, but they didn't get DeAndre Ayton involved enough. I mean, 5 for 9 shooting, 10 points, 11 rebounds, but no free throw attempts, only 1 block, 1 steal. DeAndre Ayton was just in the game, but you just didn't notice him. And look, the Suns did go on their runs. They did have a few of their runs in that game, but the Clippers always countered it. And a big part of that was Reggie Jackson, who, whenever like the Suns made a mini run, he would hit a massive three to kind of like shift the momentum back into the Clippers' favor. And the thing about Reggie Jackson, like he's done this all playoffs long, especially in these like last 2 series with the Jazz and then this series with the Suns. His play has just gone up from here to here. He's gonna get the bag this summer, and like he's shown that he can play in like really pressure situations. So good on Reggie Jackson, and he made those key plays to really extend the lead for the LA Clippers. But yeah, the Clippers played like the better team that day, and there were always doubts in your head once this type of game happens: is will Chris Paul blow another 3-1 lead? Will the Suns fall under the bright lights? This is still a young team, their first time making the playoffs in 11 years, against a very experienced Clipper team. So there were those doubts like floating around the social medias, floating around the sports shows. Will the Clippers bounce back? Because they've shown that they could do that all playoffs long. But this Suns team is built different. And they showed why in Game 6, as the Suns came out and just absolutely dominated this game, winning 130-102. Now, this is the mentality I was expecting from Game 5. I think that Game 5 really showed them, like, look, even though we're up 3-1, Chris Paul was probably at the locker rooms like, I've been in this situation before. We're going to have to come out this game and just make sure they don't breathe. Make sure, like, they don't even think they have a chance. And that's what they did in this game. And that was a lot to do because of the man himself, Chris Paul. But let me talk about the other guys first. I mean, Devin Booker, 22 points in this game, 7 rebounds. DeAndre Ayton, a lot more involved in this game, 16 points, 17 rebounds. And then Jay Crowder, especially in that first half, hitting big shot after big shot, 19 points total on the game. And, the Suns had a good lead going into the half. I mean, they were winning 66-57. So there was a decent lead going into that. But when this game just completely broke open, this happened in the freaking third and fourth quarter, man. Because with a couple minutes left in the third quarter, Chris Paul came in and he decided, look, the Clippers are hanging on a bit too long here. I am just gonna take him out and gonna just close out this game. And that's exactly what he did. 41 points total, 31 in the second half. Chris Paul was just absolutely amazing in this game. And it was just a joy to watch. And, this guy was just getting mid-range after mid-range, three after three. He finished the game with 7 threes on the game, including a 4-point play near the end. And he had, like I said, 31 in that second half. He just took over. And honestly, this is the type of game you want to see from your leader, from the guy who is just not going to, he sees this opportunity and he's just not going to waste it. He's like, look, this is the first time I've been healthy this far into the playoffs in a long, long time. I am not going to squander this opportunity, and he didn't. He was amazing. He put on an absolute masterclass. Chris Paul, man, that was just an amazing, amazing performance. And look, I think this game kind of showed just fatigue in the Clippers. And I mean, how can you blame them? 7-game series against the Dallas Mavericks round 1. 6-game series against the Utah Jazz in round 2, where they had to work their butts off to get that win in game 6, coming down from 25. And now in this series, I mean, fatigue caught up to them. I mean, Paul George just wasn't aggressive at all in this game. I mean, Reggie Jackson was missing shots. Their best player is Marcus Morris. He's the only really consistent player in this game. But with the way the Suns were rolling that game, they weren't going to stop him. They just weren't going to stop him. I mean, the Clippers put up a big fight throughout this entire playoffs, but fatigue caught up to them. And unfortunately, they are going home after losing in 6 to the Phoenix Suns. And yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things to pull out this game. You could tell the Clippers were getting frustrated at the end, and I think that all culminated in that Patrick Beverley incident where they're walking back to their benches after a timeout, and then Chris Paul. I don't know about you guys. I didn't see him say anything to Patrick Beverley, but I think he stared him down a bit, and then Patrick Beverley, obviously because it's Patrick Beverley, took offense to him, and then pushed him while he wasn't looking, got ejected. Fair enough. Just a dirty, dirty play from Patrick Beverley. And look, this is just the way he is. I mean, that's just the way Pat Bev is. He talks all he wants throughout this entire series. He gives all this trash talk and stuff, and the moment something of the slightest just irritates him, he just completely loses it. And then he got ejected this game. I think that was just a scumbag move. I do expect him to get 1 or 2 game suspension going into next season as well, because that just wasn't a good play whatsoever. I mean, Patrick Beverley has played well in these last 2 series in the playoffs, and you could see that he gives so much good on the court. But this stupid stuff that he does sometimes is just it's just so infuriating to watch. And stuff like yesterday, it's just like a Bush League type move, just horrible, just absolutely horrible. I've never been a big fan of Pat Bev. I'm not gonna say I was in the camp that with James Harden stuff saying he just runs around, he's just fooling all of you. I'm not in that camp because I still think he's a solid defender, but he's a bit overrated on that end. But I still think he plays with a lot of heart. I think he plays with a lot of edge with him, but too many times it just goes over the edge, just like that thing with Chris Paul. So just a bad play, and you could just tell the Clippers were just frustrated at that point, that they were losing that badly. Chris Paul was killing them. It was highly unfortunate for that. But yeah, the Suns won extremely badly. Even Jay Crowder said after the game, once that play happened, you knew they got on their heads, and they did. They absolutely did. I mean, the Clippers were fighting back. They were fatigued, and that was just frustration. And I think that was kind of a representation of the Clippers' night, to be completely honest. They're just frustrated. And look, Paul George didn't high-five anyone at the end of the game and stuff like that. The Clippers tried, man. The Clippers tried, but kudos to them for making it this far. I didn't think they were going to get out of that Utah Jazz series without Kawhi Leonard, but they did it. Good run for them. First time making the conference finals. I think if you're a Clippers fan, there's a lot to be happy about. Now all they got to worry about is trying to bring Kawhi back, which is maybe up in the air. I don't know. Maybe we might talk about that in the off season, but definitely something that they have to worry about in the off season. But it's a good season for them. Very good season, especially without Kawhi Leonard for this series. Very good effort. Congrats to the Clippers on a great run. But also just congratulations for the Phoenix Suns for making the NBA Finals. I'm going to go into something about the Phoenix Suns title run. I'm going to not finals run, but playoff run a bit later. But before I go into that, I'm going to hand out my series awards for this series. I'm not going to give a playoff. I'm not going to give a most disappointing player in the series award because I just don't think there was one guy that really stood out as being super disappointing. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But I'm going to replace it with another award, which I'll talk about later. MVP for the series. I'm not giving it to Chris Paul because he really only had one good game in the series. I'm not going to give it to Devin Booker either because 4 of the 6 games here, he really did struggle. I'm going to give it to DeAndre Ayton, the guy who has been consistently one of their best players throughout the entire playoff run. He finished the series 18 points a game, 14 rebounds, 1.5 assists, almost 2 blocks, almost 70% from the field. This guy was great. This guy was absolutely fantastic, especially in that 84-80 victory in Game 4 to put them up 3-1. He was the only one really giving was maintaining the lead for the Phoenix Suns. He's the one who got the game-winning dunk in Game 2. Just a great performance from DeAndre Ayton all series long, and it's proving as to being why centers are still valuable in this league, and that his kind of prototype as a center is going to be valuable going forward because not only has he improved to be a really good rim protector, but he's athletic. This guy has a mid-range jumper. He's nice at the free throw line. These type of players are going to be very sought out going forward because this could be a defensive anchor for a championship level team or finals level team as seen this playoff run. So yeah, my MVP for the series, DeAndre Ayton. bench performer of the playoffs, I'm gonna give it to Cam Johnson. I mean, he didn't play Game 6, but in the 5 games he did play, he played a massive role in this series. 4 out of his 5 games, he scored in double digits, and in this series he averaged basically 11 points a game, 4 rebounds, 1.2 steals, 70% from the field, over 50% from three. He was just fantastic. He was just absolutely fantastic this series. And he was just like, he did stuff like where he was scoring on the inside, hitting threes. He was just very good. I have him as the best bench player of the series, and I think he's going to be absolutely key to them in their finals run, going up against either the Hawks or the Milwaukee Bucks. So yeah, best performer of the series, I'm going to give it to Cam Johnson. Instead of doing the most disappointing award, which I would usually do here, I'm going to change it to the Jerry West Award, meaning the best player on a losing team. And I got to give it that to Paul George. For a lot of people calling him playoff P and stuff like that, or pandemic P, he actually had a really good postseason, a very good conference finals run. I mean, he finished this series 29 points a game, basically 10.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, two steals, and yeah, he just played very well this entire series. And unfortunately, he just kind of lost all the energy at the end. And I mean, could you really blame him? I mean, without Kawhi in the series, he had to do a lot of the heavy lifting on both the defensive and offensive end. And sadly, the fatigue just caught up to him, and you really can't blame him for that. He had an amazing run, and he's shown just like throughout the playoffs that he is still like one of the top performers in the league. Yes, he has had some of his mishaps here and there. Obviously, the 2 free throws. Obviously, some of kind of the underwhelming games he's had. But just in this playoff run, in general, 27 points a game, almost 10 rebounds, 5 assists. You can't ask anything more from your number 2 or someone who wasn't supposed to really be leading this team, but he still did a very good job doing so. So, yeah, shout out to Paul George. I'm a guy who's like, I never really believed into pandemic peace stuff. I wasn't really fully on board. But, he deserves a lot of love for what he did in this playoff run. And hopefully going forward, if Kawhi comes back, hopefully this team has another chance getting to the finals, because they were very close this year. And some people might say, maybe even including myself, that if Kawhi was there, they could have won the series. But that's still a would have, could have, should have. Yeah, but if I had to give, best player on the losing team, it has to be Paul George. Shout out to Reggie Jackson, though, who was also very good in this series, because, like I said, this guy just did so much in terms of just making timely buckets, making big-time plays. Shout out to him as well. And then my favorite moment of the series, I'm going to give that to Chris Paul going off in Game 6. I mean, I think I give this to him as well, like in their last series versus Denver Nuggets, where I think it was either Game 3 or Game 4 where he just absolutely went off. He was just absolutely fantastic in this one. And just him, like, leading his team after all he's been through in his career, injuries, kind of just an unfortunate 3-1 give up to the Houston Rockets back a few years ago. He finally goes to his first NBA Finals, and you just got to give it a round of applause. He's gone through a lot in his career. People thought when he got traded to the Suns that he's wasting another year. He should be on a championship contender. Well, guys, he's here, and 41 points in that Game 6. You just have to absolutely, just clap your hands. You just say, fair play, very good game for Chris Paul, especially because he struggled a lot in that series. So him playing that well in the closeout game is just poetic. It's just absolutely poetic, and he did it the Chris Paul way, which was absolutely fantastic. Speaking of this Phoenix Suns playoffs run, with the way things have transpired for the Phoenix Suns throughout this playoff run, the talk about a Mickey Mouse ring has entered NBA Twitter once again. Because with the amount of injuries, I mean, that's been one of the biggest storylines of this entire playoffs. That, look, so many guys have gotten injured. LeBron was not 100%. Sadly with Anthony Davis, Jamal Murray was not here for the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard went out. Giannis, yada yada yada. I could just go on and on. A lot of people were like, "Oh, this is a Mickey Mouse season, this and that," and completely diminishing how good these Final Four teams have been, whether it was the Clippers, the Suns, the Bucks, or the Hawks. Because most of the favorites that were supposed to be here. They weren't. I mean, the Lakers got eliminated round one, um, which is a lot to do with kind of their health. Same thing with the Brooklyn Nets; they got eliminated in the semifinals after Kyrie went down, and of course James Harden had that hamstring problem. And the people, like the teams that people expected to be, um, weren't here, and they're like, "Oh, this is a Mickey Mouse season. Too many injuries, this and that." And they're pointing to the Phoenix Suns title run, playoffs run at the most, because if you look at the three series that they played against the Lakers, Nuggets, and now the LA Clippers, a lot of their star players were out or were significantly hurt. I mean, Anthony Davis was not himself. Same thing. I mean, Jamal Murray and the Denver Nuggets, and now Kawhi. People are like, "Oh, this can be a Mickey Mouse ring." The Suns have had the easiest path to the finals ever. This and that. But I'm gonna tell you guys right now, no matter what a team goes through in the season, there will never be an asterisk beside an NBA title. Injuries are part of a game, and unfortunately, it's happened more than this year than most times in like NBA history. But you gotta give props to the Phoenix Suns team for staying healthy, getting these wins after not even making the playoffs the last 11 years, kind of changing their culture around, staying focused, and even like through this crazy season, which every team had to go through, including the Phoenix Suns, they were able to become one of the more healthy teams going forward, and they were able to get the win. And it's not like the Phoenix Suns have gone through their own, like, haven't gone through their own struggles as well. I mean, Chris Paul, round one, the shoulder stuff, that definitely halted them, but they were still able to get the win. Round two, I mean, I guess they were fine. They swept the MVP, though. That's still highly impressive. And in this series, I mean, Chris Paul missed the first two games. Devin Booker basically had a broken nose for the majority of the series. They've gone through their stuff as well. I mean, Cam Johnson has been out with injury. Cam Payne had to miss a game or two. These guys had to go through injuries as well, but their training staff, which has been complimented before by players like Shaq, like Grant Hill, one of the best training staff in basketball, they got him healthy, and now they're going to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1993. And look, people who like win the championship or go to the finals needs to have some luck along the way. They really do. I mean, if you think of the Miami Heat last year, they faced a Pacers team who were missing Domantas Sabonis, who had a not close to 100% T.J. Warren. They swept them. They went up against the Milwaukee Bucks, where Giannis was injured for a good chunk of it, and the Bucks were missing some key bench pieces as well. They beat them. I mean, they beat the Boston Celtics team, who I think that's probably like a really good win for the Miami Heat. So there's that, and of course, and they were injured themselves in the finals, so there's that. But a lot of teams have had like a lot of luck going to this. I mean, the Raptors 2019, the Lakers in the late 80s were down 3-2 to the Detroit Pistons before Isaiah Thomas had to had that ankle injury and couldn't come back in that series. I mean, this happens in basketball. Injuries are part of the game, and sometimes it may decide a victor, but that's just part of the game. Like I mentioned in a few episodes ago, the NBA is the survival of the fittest, especially when you go this deep into the year. Most of the time, the winner, the NBA champion, is someone who was able to stay healthy throughout the entire playoff run. And the Phoenix Suns were one of them, so, just congrats to them. No matter what happens here, there will never be an asterisk beside an NBA champion. Never. And if we go go into the future, 4 or 5 years, people are just gonna say, and the Phoenix Suns win this year. No one's gonna talk about like what the type of path they went to get here. They're gonna see NBA champion beside Chris Paul, beside Devin Booker's name, and say, look, they won a championship that year. That's it. No one's gonna like take away that championship from the Warriors when they won a championship with the Cavs not having Kevin Love or Kyrie. Same thing with the Raptors. Same thing with the Lakers in the 80s. There's not going to be an asterisk. There isn't. And I'm tired of people discrediting the teams remaining because they've put on a massive performance in this playoffs, and they deserve all the respect in the world. So yeah, Phoenix Suns. No, it's not a Mickey Mouse ring. It isn't. They deserve to be here, and congratulations for them for making it this far because they have had a fantastic run. Chris Paul deserves to be here. He usually is the one on the receiving end of the bad luck with his injuries, with his guys getting injured. He usually is here, so a little luck goes his way. He's gonna take advantage of it, and I'm just very very happy that he is finally making the finals for the first time in his career. So yeah, congratulations to the Suns. Like you saw in the title of this video, no Mickey Mouse ring talk here because that Mickey Mouse ring stuff, this needs to go away. That whole like idea just needs to go away. And if you're gonna call it a Mickey Mouse ring, you gotta give it a new name. I mean, it made sense last year because of the bubble and stuff. They were Disney. If you're gonna do something, NBA Twitter, you gotta be a bit more creative than that. You just gotta be. Hopefully, there's something new that they're gonna come up on Twitter, but you can't call every season Mickey Mouse season. I mean, it was good for the bubble. I don't think it was a good idea to keep it around after that. So, yeah, Mickey Mouse bubble, whatever people want to call it, doesn't exist. And I'm tired of people like talking about it and actually trying to diminish how good these teams have been. And I'm sorry your team isn't in this position, but here we are now. Congratulations to the Suns for making it through. So yeah, those are the NBA playoffs talk. Let me know down below what you guys think of either series. Your thoughts on this Mickey Mouse season or whatever. I don't believe it. I don't think many people should really look into it that much. Don't get so butthurt, man. Don't get so butthurt. Congratulations to the Suns for making it through. Before we finish off this episode, this news I think happened last week, but I didn't even get to go into it. But I want to kind of talk about it because it has to do with the Raptors, and I do want to kind of give my thoughts, whether I think the Raptors should do this or not. Because there has been rumors circling the Warriors organization that finally, because they have the 7th pick and the 14th pick, I think they're going to try and use those assets along with James Wiseman to move for a 3rd star. Yes, I mean, Klay Thompson's coming back this year. Steph Curry is still playing at MVP level. They want to take advantage of this Golden State Warrior core for as long as they can. And hopefully they can trade for a 3rd/4th star. And one of the guys on their radar, I think it was Tate McMahon that reported this, is Pascal Siakam of the Toronto Raptors. In a possible trade where it would send James Wiseman the 7th pick and probably Andrew Wiggins just to make the contracts work to acquire Pascal Siakam. And look, I've had time to ponder this, and I'm like 60% not okay with this and 40% okay with this. And what I mean by that is I would prefer not to do this trade, but if the Raptors pull it off, I understand, and I'm going to still be supportive of it. And here's why. Pascal Siakam, most improved player in the 2019 season, he has shown that he can play at a very high level. Before the bubble, he was playing absolutely fantastic as well. He was all NBA, I think either 2nd or 3rd team in the 2019-20 season. Obviously, when he got to the bubble, he did not play so great. And then this season, he hasn't been at his best. I mean, he still averaged 21, 7, and 4, and people want to dub this as one of the worst seasons of a player, which I don't fully understand. But Siakam definitely didn't play at his best. I think this is a really good trade for the Golden State Warriors because, like I said, having James Wiseman, yes, he's a nice young player, but you can't wait for him to come around, man. You can't wait for that, especially when you have Steph Curry at 33. Klay Thompson coming off 2 injuries, and they're still hoping that he could play at his best. You have Draymond Green at near the latter half of his career. You need to take advantage of what you have right now, and bring in Pascal Siakam, who could play very well on the defensive end, which he's shown last year that he could still play very well on that end. And you know his potential in the offensive end. You need to make that type of trade if possible, and I think that that's a good player for them to bring in. As for the Raptors, if they do this trade, they are going for the rebuild. They are 100% going in for the rebuild. James Wiseman could be the future center of the team, especially if they can't draft Evan Mobley, which looks like he might be drafted either by the Rockets or the Cleveland Cavaliers. And you get the 7th pick, who could be a very good player. Bring into the Raptors development, maybe they work out very well. And maybe getting Andrew Wiggins in this trade as well. I mean, you get another wing player, someone who's shown that he can, who can still produce at a high level. Maybe you can bring him in. Maybe you can still make the playoffs. and you can really set yourself up nicely for the future. And look, I'm a huge Siakam fan. I don't want him to give up on them just yet. But if the Raptors want to build this team for the future and still be competitive now, this could be a possible trade for sure. You bring in James Wiseman under Nick Nurse and let him play kind of that Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol type role. I think it could work out very well. And I am basing this a lot on potential. I mean, James Wiseman was the second overall pick last year. And I'm hoping that he can show a lot of potential so he can become a good player for them going forward. But as a Raptor fan, if they want to go to step into rebuild, I wouldn't mind at all. Having the 4th pick, the 7th pick, a former second round pick, Wiggins as a possibility just so you can make the contracts work, I would be okay with it. I wouldn't be, saying, yes, Raptors, go for it, do this trade. But I wouldn't be okay. I would be okay with it. And look, like I said, it makes a lot of sense for Golden State. But what this trade will do if the Raptors do pull this off will just show that which direction the Raptors are going. Do they still think they can make a finals team with the current core they have now? Or do they think that they can have a finals team in a couple years and they could and they think that Siakam is not going to be good enough to lead them to that point? So, yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see if they pull off the trade. Let me know down below. Would you do this trade? Siakam for James Wiseman, the 7th pick, and Andrew Wiggins. Would you do that? I know a lot of fans outside of Toronto would say maybe they would do that, but some Raptor fans who are part of the fan base are like, I don't know. I'm still on the fence with it, but let me know down below if you would do this trade or not. But I think this is where we're going to end this episode. Thank you guys for watching or listening. Remember to show love on all the podcast channels. Like, share, and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss an episode. And remember to follow on at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for some awesome content. I'm going to be coming back with an episode on Monday. Going to probably be recorded Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. We're going to have to wait and see. I'm finally going back to work, so I might have to record these the evening before, so you're going to have to look out for that. And yeah, just thank you guys for all the support. Again, 3,000 downloads a few days ago, or last week. Thank you guys for that support. And hopefully we can just continue to grow this channel throughout the summer. With the NBA free agency looming and the draft looming as well. You can expect, a mock draft in the next few weeks. You can also expect just free agency predictions. So, yeah, this is going to be a really, really good week, month of basketball, including the NBA Finals very soon. And we're going to get into that as well. So, yeah, I think this is where we're going to end today's episode. Thank you guys for all the support. Hope you have a fantastic day. TV signing out. Take it easy, guys.